Hey, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Good morning. We will call to order the July 20th, 2026 City of Detroit Board of Appeals meeting. Can we get a roll call, Director Brown, please?
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Right. Member Thurman. Board Member Watson.
Here.
Board Member Campbell. Board Member Carr. Board Member Johnson. Board Member Bowman. Board Member Parker.
Present.
Board Member Osborne.
Present.
Chairperson Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you do not have a quorum.
Okay. We will recess until we have a quorum. Okay, we will call back to order the BZA meeting. You want to do another roll call? We should have quorum now.
Board Member Sherman. Board Member Watson.
Here.
Board Member Campbell. Board Member Carr. Board Member Johnson.
Here.
Board Member Bowman.
Here.
Board Member Parker.
Present.
Board Member Osborne.
Present.
Chairperson Roberts.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. Any procedural matter, Director?
Yes. The following board members' terms are expiring December 2026. Couple of things. If you are interested in continuing, contact your council member. I'm also going to contact the council member. So the following members' term is up this year. Anthony Sherman, District 7. Robert Roberts. Nope. Sorry. Byron Osborne, District 5. Jerry Watson, District 4. Scott Bowman, at large. And Sharon Parker, at large. Board Member Parker, you came in to fill a position that was vacated. My suggestion to the council member is that he just hold you over. You still will probably have to go through the interview, but I don't think he's gonna unappoint you. But the reason you're up because you were appointed to complete the board member whose seat you fill, which ends December 2026. So once again, that's Anthony Sherman, Byron Osborne, Jerry Watson, Scott Bowman, and Sharon Parker. Please contact your council members. I will be contacting them also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I get a...
Oh, one other procedural matter. The BZA July 13th, 2026 hearing is posted on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes July 13th, 2026 with one correction that the,
Motion to approve the minutes with the suggested corrections.
and all the correction was, who made a motion for the last approval of minutes. So we have a motion, second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Any communications, Director Rob?
No communications.
Any miscellaneous business?
Okay, that's what I thought. No miscellaneous business.
Okay, we will recess until 9:15 when we hear our first
Yep,
case.
I am. Okay.
Okay. Did she make a decision? Public. Yeah. Hear it. Right.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll call back to order our meeting, and the chair recognizes Member Carr. Director River, on our first case in.
Yeah, Attorney Savage, I just want to make sure that we can hear you and you can hear us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, great. Just wanted to make sure before we started. Thank you.
Mhm.
BZA case 2026 dash 00035, Council District Number 1. The BZA petitioner is Jasmine Weatherford. The location is 24514 West McNichols between Fenton and Winston in a B4 General Business District. Jasmine Weatherford requests dimensional variances to establish a banquet facility in a 2,113 square foot unit of an existing 5,025 square foot building, approved with conditions in BC SLU 2026-00035 within an R2 zone, two-family residential district. We will now hear from Inspector Purefoy.
Thank you, Director. Good morning, board members. We are hearing this case today because the board shall be authorized to hear dimensional variance requests for matters that are beyond the scope of the building department's 10% administrative adjustments for variance of minimum setbacks. The variances needed for this case are deficient parking, 11 spaces are required, no spaces provided, 11 spaces deficient, and deficient one loading zone, 112 by 35-foot loading zone is required. Here in this case under section 54-131, 1 and 6 permitted dimensional variances, and 54-121 the approval criteria. Here in this case under the legal description attached, our attorney will assess ownership. The building department's approval effective June 16th, 2026 states the request is to establish a banquet hall in a 2,113 square foot unit of an existing 5,025 square foot building. The current legal land use of the property is a repair garage under building permit 28454 issued in July of 1976. The requested use of a banquet facility is permissible on a conditional basis in a B4 zoning district. Therefore, a special land use hearing is required. BC held a hearing on May 6, 2026. In addition, the City of Detroit personnel appearing on behalf of BC and the Planning and Development Department. The participants of the hearing included the applicant, 2 persons who spoke in support, while 3 letters were provided in support to the hearing, at the hearing. A letter from Planning and Development dated May 7th, 2026, recommending conditional approval of the requested use based on the site plans and other information presented by BC. Compliance with the following aspects of the required uses were addressed. Off-street parking under section 501450 and 501452. 21 parking spaces are required for the banquet facility, while 7 off-street parking spaces are required for the office use. Under section 501423, BC can waive 17 off-street parking spaces for the previous use, as off-street parking and loading spaces are only required in proportion to the extent of 11 parking spaces are required and 0 are proposed. Thus, 11 spaces are deficient. Unless the applicant can provide a site plan, can amend the site plan to include requisite parking spaces or provide a recorded shared parking agreement with a valid parking lot within 100 feet of the subject property, a variance shall be required from the Board of Zoning Appeals for deficient parking. Off-street loading, section 5014-114, retail service and commercial uses. 112 by 55-foot off-street loading space is required for the proposed office use. None is provided. However, under section 5014-111A, an open adjacent alley with the width of no less than 18 feet may be credited toward 1 off-street loading space for retail service or commercial uses. Thus, if the applicant is unable to provide a revised site plan showing the off-street loading area, a variance shall be required from the Board of Zoning Appeals for the off-street loading. And again, the petition is before the board. She has conditional approval for a banquet facility in 2,100 square feet unit of an existing building. That building is 5,025 square feet. Again, it's a loading and deficient parking are the variances.
Thank
This
you.
is the front view of the subject property. The beige building is 24514 West McNichols. The front view of the subject property. You looking down the frontage of the subject property, looking to the west, I'm sorry, to the east. Block opposite, commercial buildings. Also block opposite. View looking down West McNichols, looking to the west. There's a daycare center immediately to the west of the subject property. This is the far east side of the property off of Fenton Street. View looking down at Residential Street, looking to the north. A view again looking down Fenton Street. A view looking back towards the east side of the building. Long view looking down the frontage of the property, looking to the east. This is some space immediately adjacent to the building off of Fenton Street. And a view looking at the frontage of the subject property. And a commercial building immediately adjacent to the east, and then there's a daycare center next to that. And just a long view looking down McNichols, looking to the east. Subject property is not on the screen, it's to the right. And another front view of the subject property in question. Again, the 2 variances are for parking and loading.
Well, you come down now.
Thank you.
Good morning. Are you Ms. Weatherford?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. If you could, please state your name and address, and Inspector Purefour will swear you in.
My name is Jasmine Weatherford. My home address? Okay, our address is 8261 Fresh Street, Detroit, Michigan,
Raise
48228.
your right hand for me.
Yes.
You're affirming testimony before the board today is the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ms. Weatherford, the first thing we need to do is to make sure that you have a good association and can represent the property. Our attorney, Ms. Savage, is on Zoom, and so she's going to establish that with you.
Okay,
Good morning. Erica Savage on behalf of the Law Department. Please forgive my Absence in the forum today. I am fresh off of traveling. I got in at like a few hours ago. So, good morning to everyone. And Ms. Weatherford, I'm just going to ask you a few questions to assess your standing and pertain to the City of Detroit zoning ordinance. And forgive me, voice a little strained. Pursuant to Section 50-3-3 of the zoning ordinance, any party who petitions the Board of Zoning Appeals must possess sufficient standing, which means you either possess a legal interest in the property or you're authorized by the property owner to appear on their behalf. And the law department did a search of the public records for the property at 24514 West McNichols, and we obtained a warranty deed recorded on October 31st, 2025 at Liber 598981453 page, and it reflects the property owner is 315 LLC. So could you just please explain your relationship to 315 LLC?
Yes, ma'am. I am the owner of 315 LLC.
Okay, and are you the sole owner of 315?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and aside from yourself present here today, is there anybody else who's authorized throughout this process to speak on your behalf?
No.
Okay, well, board, based on the statements placed on the record, I'm satisfied with her standing to proceed today.
Thank you, Attorney Savage. Okay, Ms. Weatherford, what brings you before the board today?
Well, good morning. My name is Jasmine Weatherford, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. As she mentioned, last year in October, I purchased a commercial space or building at 24514 West McNichols Road. It's a 5,026 square foot building that I'm renovating into 315 Lux, which will be a banquet facility. I'm here today requesting either a parking variance or a variance, excuse me, for the distance requirement for my accessory parking lot. Since purchasing the building, I've worked closely with the City of Detroit through the special land use process. After my hearing in May, my special land use was approved in June because the city determined that my project is consistent with the neighborhood commercial designation and supports a pedestrian-oriented corridor with parking located across the street, off the street, excuse me. I've done everything I could to address the parking requirement. I've reached out to the city, I've reached out to the Detroit Land Bank and began purchasing an additional lot specifically for accessory parking. I also hired an engineer to survey and measure the distance. The lot is 123 feet from my building. The ordinance requires 100 feet, but McNichols Road itself accounts for approximately 100 feet of that distance. So the additional distance is simply the sidewalk and the curb. While the measurement exceeds the ordinance by 23 feet, the parking is directly across the street and remains convenient and accessible for customers. In addition, I've secured a shared parking agreement with my neighbor immediately next door. Our hours of operation do not conflict. Their parking demand is during the day, while my events primarily occur in the evening and on weekends. So there is no adverse impact. This project represents a significant investment in the community. My goal is to revitalize a long, vacant commercial building, create a beautiful destination for the neighborhood, increase economic activity along the McNichols corridor, and provide a space where residents can celebrate milestones without having to leave the community. I would also like the board to know that I am a round 31 Motor City Match recipient for the cash award. It's a competitive development program through the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. My award is contingent upon me receiving my final city approval, including today's decision. A favorable decision today allows me to move forward with those funds, complete construction, create jobs, and open my business. I respectfully ask the board to consider the unique circumstances of my property, the efforts I've made to comply with the ordinance, and the positive impact the project would have on the neighborhood. Thank you.
All right, well, first off, I appreciate you coming before the board well prepared and all the information that you're able to provide us. I do have a question. This is just, so as I look at the building, right, from McNichols,
Yes,
so there's two occupants in the building, right? There's an office building of some type, and then you're gonna take the rest of it, is that correct?
I own the entire building.
Right,
It's 5,000 square feet. And so one portion would be the banquet facility and the other portion will be office suites. So, excuse me, it's all up under 315
so
LLC.
it's not occupied now, it's just, it's vacant
It's
currently?
vacant, correct, right now.
Okay.
It's a vacant building.
So that overhead door that's in the front, is that part of the banquet part, or is that part of the office part?
The garage door,
Mhm.
that's a part of the office suites.
Okay, gotcha,
Yes.
all right. Okay, any other questions from the board? And board chair recognizes, member Sherman. Any other questions, from the board so far? Member Osborne?
Good morning, Ms. Weatherford.
Good morning.
What hours do you plan on operating your banquet facility?
That's a great question. Primarily on the weekends, from noon to about 11 p.m.
Reason I was asking was because with the parking agreement with the daycare center, I was hoping that, I mean, they're children, but sometimes daycare centers run 24 hours a day. So I wasn't sure if hers runs, do you know, if
So her name is Yolanda. We have a really good relationship. I walk next door. She's typically open from about 7 a.m. till about 4 p.m. And her last bus leaves at about 4:35.
okay. What about, maybe you can explain to me a plan or something. How would you approach it if the daycare center closed or if she sold her building? How does that work with the parking agreement? Can you educate me?
I feel like I'm a pretty approachable person, so I probably would just approach the next person. Yolanda has been here for a very long time. So in the event that she would close, I think that she probably would give me a heads up. Also, with the shared parking agreement, we would still have the accessory parking lot that's across the street. And with that site plan with the accessory parking lot, those are 19 spaces.
Last one, possibly last one. You got any plans on, I'm sure some of the times you have food catered in. Do you have any plans on in the future building a kitchen inside of the space?
I do not.
Okay.
The kitchenette that's inside the space will be for food prep only, and then we'll hire out a caterer.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yep. Member Watson?
I have a follow-up question concerning your parking.
Yes.
If I understood you correctly, you said that you worked out an agreement, you bought a lot 123 feet away from the building
Yes.
that you plan to use for parking.
Yes.
However, it's beyond the required 100 feet. You're still going to use that for parking as going forward, but it does not qualify you, and that's why you're here for the variances.
That's why I'm here today. Yes, sir.
You're going to have that as additional parking. That is still going to be your parking lot, right?
That'll be accessory parking on top of the shared parking agreement with the daycare.
Thank you.
Yes.
So in the front of the building, I think there's like 9 parking spaces now, but the city won't allow you to use that, correct?
Sorry, I can't hear you well.
Pardon me?
Did you say that? Could you repeat your question?
Yeah, so in the front of the building currently, there's like 9 parking spaces, but I'm assuming that that the city won't allow you to use those.
That's correct.
And what about the fenced area next? The fenced area.
The on-site parking, that's when I finished up with the engineer that has 2 parking spaces.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Thank you. And I seen a hand down this way, but I can't remember who it was.
It was just the one lot that you were purchasing from the land bank?
Just one lot from the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Yes.
Is there an opportunity to purchase more?
If there is an opportunity to purchase more, I am very much interested.
Member Carr.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Tell me again, will you be operating during the week as well in the evenings?
So typically we would have tours throughout the weekday. And if we had any type of events during the evenings, it would be throughout the weekday, but primarily for that type of event, event space is typically on the weekends. But there's a possibility for throughout the weekday as well. Not more, I rarely see it on the week, in the day, during the same operation hours as the daycare. Yeah.
Any other questions for, yes, Member Bowman?
Yeah, what is the address of the lot across the street from you that you were gonna use?
The address is 24451.
Thank you very much.
Wait, sorry, say it again.
It's 24451 and it's the same
Nichols.
West Nichols.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Member Osborne?
Did you say how many spaces are in the parking lot across the street?
19
19. All right.
for the site plan. Yep.
Okay, any other questions for the petitioner before we move to our department? Okay, seeing none, if you want to go ahead and step back, we're going to hear from our city departments now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can take this all with me back to my seat?
Pardon me?
Yes. Thank you.
Oh, actually, okay, we'll hear from our departments now. Mr. Pierce from BC.
Good morning, Connor Pierce here, zoning inspector with Building Safety Engineering Environmental Department. Yes, as Ms. Weatherford stated, we have already heard this case for a special land use hearing. This just requires additional variances for the deficient parking and off-street loading. As the petitioner explained, the proposed parking lot that is across the street at 24451 West McNichols is just beyond the distance permitted for us to consider it for off-street parking without any approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. That lot is just under a quarter acre, and we have also met with the petitioner, members from BC Zoning, as well as the Planning and Development Design Review Team, to discuss the design for that lot. And the petitioner is aware of the minor changes that would need to happen to the design in order for it to be approved by right without any need for additional variances. And to address that parking that you guys were mentioning in front of the existing structure, that would not be permitted for a couple different reasons. Some of those fall within the public right of way, and for the other spaces that fall within the private property line, they would necessitate backing out directly into the right of way, which is not permitted in the ordinance. Additionally, because of the way that it's structured, the width of the driveway approach, as we would consider it, would be too wide as well. So those spaces aren't permitted to be used for parking there. However, if you were to approve the use of the accessory parking lot across the street on that off-site lot, then that would satisfy the off-street parking requirements.
Okay. Can you speak at all to the loading? What that
Yeah.
should look like and where it should be and those types of things.
Sorry, I missed that.
I'm just curious when you say loading to me that's like a loading dock with cushions and buffers and that type of thing. Is that what you're looking for?
It doesn't necessarily have to be that, just designated space off street for the offloading of any materials needed for the business. That is not shown on the site plan currently. But there's potential other things that the petitioner could do for offloading, either using the accessory parking lot, the space to the side of the building, etc. But as it stands currently, that the use would necessitate an off-street parking lot, off-street loading space, excuse me, per the ordinance.
Thank you. Any questions for Inspector Pierce on the board? Member Osborne?
Inspector Pierce, what is the I was looking at the report about off-street loading, one of the bullet points, and it says that the 12 by 35-foot space is required for proposed office use. But if the alley, let's say open adjacent alley with a width of no less than 18 feet may be credited, what's the width of the alley? I'm just curious. Do you know?
I
Well, it's
believe
less than 18 feet, but I'm just asking, is it 16, 12, or whatever?
I don't have that information on hand, but let me actually examine too, because I believe from my site inspection that the alley was currently inaccessible in its current condition, and I just wanted to check the status of the vacation of that real quick for you.
Definitely pretty overgrown.
Yeah. And I believe that there's currently a fence and gate blocking off a portion of it. Let me
But obviously,
quickly
those
pull this
conditions
up.
aren't the petitioner's fault.
Correct. No, I don't believe that it is legally vacated, at least according to our GIS software. It looks like the next block over there's an alley vacation. But yeah, it looks like it's been blocked off as it currently stands anyways.
That's what I was trying to draw out with my question. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, writing some notes. Okay. All right. Thank you, Inspector Pierce. I appreciate it. And I don't think that did planning development have a report on this? I don't
They had a recommendation for approval.
Okay. Ms. Sharpley, would you like to speak to your recommendation for approval, please?
Yes. Excuse me. Good morning. Helen Sharpley, Planning and Development. We provided a recommendation of approval after the special land use hearing. The community came out in support. 2 members of the community spoke in support and none spoke in opposition. And then 3 support letters were submitted prior to the hearing. And the petitioner did door-to-door engagement with the residents, and we recommended approval. The master plan designation is in alignment with the proposed use. It's neighborhood commercial, and again, it's a Motor City match project, so we supported it in our recommendation.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Sharpley from the board? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Sharpley.
Thank you.
All right. If we can have, you can come back up. We're going to go through our approval criteria now.
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Johnson, if you could start with numbers 1 and 2.
Okay.
They're on the screen, and also Director Riberon should have given you a handout. And if you just look at the center there where it says suggested questions.
Looking at that to rephrase it, so.
Okay.
Okay, so do you agree that, I'm sorry, do you agree that the decision that was made by the BC is number 1 is? Oh, yeah, is a requested variance or administrative adjustment consistent with the master plan and the spirit, purpose, and intent of this chapter? So do you agree with that decision?
Yes, I do. The business does sit on a commercial corridor with the neighborhood commercial designation. It aligns with the special land use, letter emphasis on pedestrian orientation and on-street parking. And it's consistent. And it also encourages pedestrian activity, and foot traffic in the neighborhood, which is a community-oriented business designated to draw people who walk to it. So yes, I do.
Okay. And what are the practical difficulties that prevent you from carrying out the strict letter of that chapter?
Say that again.
The difficulties you're having?
The difficulties with the building, it was constructed in 1976 as a garage, a repair garage. So changing the use from a garage to a banquet facility. And then the lot area is too limited to accommodate for on-site parking, which is the reason for the variance request today.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 3 and 4, Ricard.
How does the requested variance or administrative adjustment eliminate a practical difficulty to your application?
Granting this variance would allow me to complete the redevelopment of a vacant commercial building and open up 315 Lux. It will also bring investment to the West McNichols corridor, create jobs, and attract customers who will support a nearby business.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And please explain how the requested variance or administrative adjustment will have no significant adverse impact on the health, safety, or general welfare of surrounding property owners or the general public or the natural environment.
So 315, I don't believe would create any adverse impact on the surrounding businesses because it's designed to complement the existing commercial corridor, not compete or interfere with it. The venue will primarily operate during the evenings and weekends when many of my neighboring businesses are closed or have reduced activity, which minimizes conflict. In addition, I work proactively to address parking myself by securing the off-site parking, the additional parking options. The city has already determined that through the special land use review that the proposed use is consistent with the master plan and complements surrounding commercial uses. So I'm committed to operate my business and continue to support those findings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 5 and 6. Member Osborne.
Can you explain how, if there are any adverse impacts to this project, how will you deal with them with the surrounding community?
I understand the board's concern. I worked hard to address them before asking for this variance. Again, I secured the additional parking. I'm purchasing a lot for more parking. I'll direct my guests where to park and professionally manage every event that I'm having. I want to be known as a good neighbor. As she stated, I did go door to door, not only to residents, but also to other businesses, to introduce myself and build that relationship. So if there were any issues, I would address them quickly and not allow them to become ongoing problems.
And what is special about your site that is different from others around you?
The building occupies essentially the whole footprint is basically leaving no room for expansion. So, or any room for on-site parking besides what I have. So that's really what's special about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Parker, 7 and 8, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please explain how the special circumstances and conditions that account for the need for variances or administrative adjustment is not the result of your actions.
The deficiency stems from the building's existing 1976 footprint with the lot regular shape. So.
Okay. Will you be conducting any business other than what you have spoken of on the record today?
There will be no other use. No.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And is this city-owned land or land bank land or anything?
Say it again.
Was this city owned property? Did you buy it from the city?
The lot is from the city.
Okay.
And then the building that I
buildings?
bought was a private sale.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any additional questions from the board or the petitioner?
No.
Okay, seeing none, if you want to go ahead and step back, we're gonna talk about communications. We're gonna hear from the anybody from the public. If there are any negative things or issues that are brought up, you'll have an opportunity to rebut those, and then we'll go into after that we'll go into a board discussion and render a decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Director, any communications in this case?
There was a letter. I did provide that for you to share with the board members.
Yeah. I get that mixed up.
Also, board members, I'd like to compliment Ms. Weatherford on her presentation. She was well prepared, and I just wanted to acknowledge that because this is not an easy process, so congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Okay, next we'll go to public comment. If you're in the auditorium today and you'd like to make public comment on 24514 West McNichols, please stand up, come down to the podium. Good morning.
Good morning.
If you could please state your name and Inspector Purifoy will swear you in.
My name is Sherry Caver. I own Crown Heating, which is across the street from her building. I have been,
The inspector needs to swear you in and then you can have 2 minutes for public comment.
Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is true?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you'll have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, my concern is I'm next door to the car wash where the lot that she purchased. And I would like to know how the plans for the parking lot will not intrude on my property. Because we've been there since 1996. And we always had a problem with the traffic next door. So I don't want, the traffic from whatever coming on my property. So that is, something, they sent me a letter, but they didn't tell me anything about what the parking structure would consist of. And that would be my question to the board.
Okay. Let's try and solve that now. Inspector Pierce.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Inspector Pierce, if we get the person that just made the public comments address or email, can you send her over the site plan for the parking lot?
I believe that would require a FOIA request, but let me get the information. I can find that out for you. Yeah, if I can get the
It would
questioner's
be easier, Mr. Pierce, if you could just explain the process of what the petitioner has to do to establish that lot as a parking lot.
I see. So the parking lot itself, it's located within the B4 zoning district, so it would be permitted by right to establish it with just applying and receiving the building permit and a certificate of occupancy for that established use there. So this would not require going through a public hearing for that parking lot. And if it were done to the specifications of the ordinance, which I believe the petitioner is planning to do, then it would not require any additional variances from the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
So to answer your question, ma'am, it would have to get proper permits for a parking lot. It'd have to be striped, whatever the ordinance says for a parking lot in the B4 district, she would have to comply with in order to not have another hearing. Sounds like her site plan is in compliance with the ordinance, so she would be able to stripe it, fence it, all those things that the ordinance requires. So it shouldn't infringe on your property as long as she does what the ordinance says.
All right, any other public comment in the auditorium for 24514 West McNichols? Seeing nobody, will switch to virtual public comment. If you're out there on Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment specific to 24514 West McNichols, please raise your hand. Public comment for 24514 West McNichols, please raise your hand. See anybody, Director O'Brien?
Tyson Gersh.
Tyson Gersh, you could
Hi,
please
can you hear me?
Yes.
Do I need to be sworn in?
Yes, and then you'll have 2 minutes for public comment.
Okay.
Your name and address on the record, please.
My name is Tyson Gersh. My address is 252 Smith Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48202.
Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So I guess as it relates to this proposal and any other proposal, how do I, as a member of the public or the BZA board, know that the site plan being presented is the site plan that actually went through BSEED? Like this isn't a criticism of the project by any means, but it is kind of a question about process using this project as an example. Is there any mechanism to confirm that? Because in North End Landing, they just made up site plans that never went through BSEED for that last hearing. So I guess I'm genuinely curious, what mechanism does the BZA have to ensure that the record of approval from BSEED, which is a ordinance required record, is incorporated into the record before the BZA? And why isn't that record just public? Like, why can't I just click on a link on the website, like, or on the docket, just to review it myself? Also, I heard somebody recommend somebody go through FOIA to get a record. Did 0% chance that anybody that files a FOIA for a BZA record will ever receive a copy of it. At least over 10 that I've filed, I've never received a single record related to what I asked for. I think they've only returned one, and it was with site plans from an unrelated project, and then they claimed they didn't know. So we really do need to talk about record management here. I also think the BZA should reconsider its vote to adopt the rules and address the record issue. Other municipalities require through their own BZA rules that the record be available online, public at all times. Why is ours shrouded in secrecy and completely inaccessible, in blatant contradiction to the legislation and local regulations? Anybody should be able to access them at any time, like, no question. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else, Director Grimm?
No other hands.
Okay, we'll close out public comment. And we'll go into a board member only discussion. And obviously a motion is also always in order. I think and I'll just make a comment myself. I think as the board knows, I'm usually an anti parking variance person. And really, when you look at this, they were supposed to have 21 total spaces. They were already given some leeway and whatnot. However, I do respect the fact that we have a young female entrepreneur going into a long vacant building, and in an area that, quite frankly, could use a little bit more, some more businesses and some more foot traffic, and as we know, that all makes for a safer neighborhood. Also, obviously, being a Motor City Match recipient means that the city knew what she had planned, and feels that it's appropriate for that location. Specific to the two variances, well, also I'll say that I was a little bit concerned with with the proximity to Hooked on Books, but we did receive a letter of both support for the project, but then also they do have a shared parking agreement. So when it comes to the parking variance specifically, I think that the petitioner's done everything that she probably can possible. She does have a shared parking agreement with Hooked on Books, which does not satisfy the variance. She also has purchased an accessory parking lot, but again, it's 22 feet too far away to be considered. If it was 100 feet, she wouldn't even be before us today. And then as far as the loading area, as Member Osborne said, I think that it's not. I think that if that alley was open and available, again, I don't think that she would be before the BZA today, and I don't think that it's her fault, having just purchased the building, that the alley is in need of cleanup and is in disrepair. So I would be in favor of granting these two variances. Member Watson.
I agree with with the chair. Given the situation that the petitioner presented to us, the parking lot 123 feet away from the building is not under consideration. It is not part of her case today. It's just an offshoot of what she's doing. For the objection by the lady next to the existing parking lot, I would imagine, given the petitioner's presentation, that if she does anything to this parking lot, it will be an exceptional parking lot. I would imagine she's going to do the fencing, she's going to do the lines. It would be an improvement on what you have now as a lot that gives you a problem. However, today we're considering the variance for 11 spaces and loading, not the parking. But I would imagine that when we hear from the petitioner, she will clarify for you to substantially to bring you into agreement with what she's doing. Hopefully.
Member Bowman.
Yeah, I have a motion, but I realize there's other people waiting to speak, so I can let them do that. And meanwhile, I'll just speak in favor of approving this variance. The petitioner has clearly made other plans for parking that would satisfy the need, though not the letter of the law. And that's where we come in, is we can grant these variances. And in this case, the obvious one is that, that we need to consider is what's within 100 feet. We have the neighbor with the shared parking agreement. And then in the long term, as far as just the practical effects of allowing this is mitigated by the existence outside of that range of a parking lot that is owned by the petitioner. So the petitioner would have control of those spaces. It's just that they are too far away, but not by a huge amount. And so I think from practical standpoint, the person has enough spaces. From a legal standpoint, there's certain spaces that we can't count. So that's, as far as the overall effect on the community and being consistent with the spirit of the ordinance, with not the letter, I see this as being something we should approve.
Member Osborne.
In my mind, the petitioner went through with her participation in Motor City Match that requires deadlines, documentation, follow-up, and seeing through on a lot of processing going on with the city. So I think that plays to her favor, that I believe she would do the proper documents, proper processes to convert the land into a parking lot. I'm glad that she was diligent and did her part in presenting information with the parking agreement next door. That shows communication to me. And even her answer to the question I had, if the daycare closed or if someone sold it, the relationship she has with the business next door would provide for communication. So while I understand concern about property and the intrusion of a neighboring parking lot, I do believe that this petitioner would, again, do her due diligence to make sure that communication was there, that all legal processes were fulfilled. So I'm in favor of this, and I'll allow not allow, but I know you had a motion. I had one too, but you got
it. Member Carr.
I too would support the approval of this variance request for all of the reasons that have been stated, as well as for the addition that I think this facility will add to the city in offering another venue for us to have access to rental space that we often have to go outside of the city to get. And so I really appreciate the presentation that the petitioner made this morning. As has been said, I think just listening to her and the information that she shared really gives me the feeling that she'd be a good business owner and operator and a great addition to our city. So I definitely would support a motion if it's made to approve this variance.
Okay, thank you. Can we get a motion, please?
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, in the case of BZA 2026-00035 in Council District 1. I move that we approve the request by petitioner Jasmine Weatherford regarding the property at 24,514 West McNichols that we approve dimensional variances to establish a banquet facility in the 2,113 square foot unit of an existing 5,025 square foot building, approved with the conditions in BC SLU 2026-0035 within R2 zone. This is a two-family residential district that we are authorized to hear dimensional variances for matters beyond the scope of BC's 10% administrative adjustments. Here we are approving a case where there was deficient parking, 11 spaces required, 0 provided, 11 spaces deficient, with a loading zone that's 12 by 35 feet, and not additional parking provided. The petitioner has met the approval requirements in 50-4-121 specifically. The site is, I'm sorry, I got to flip a page here. That the requested variance or administrative adjustment is consistent with the master plan. It has parking, but the petitioner has established that there is parking, but it's outside the minimum standard distance. And then there is also parking within that distance through a parking agreement. Practical difficulties had included the inavailability of sufficient spaces closer than 100 feet. The practical difficulty finding 11 parking spaces. Hours of operation were found to be compatible with the neighbors, specifically Hooked on Books, who have different hours of operation than the petitioner's business will. Potential adverse impact is mitigated by a lot use agreement with Hooked on Books and ownership of a more distant lot. This site is different based upon the space available in an otherwise suitable space. The property is otherwise can be used in this manner by right. It's not for prohibited activities, but a by right use in the absence of the parking space shortage. Neighbors and nearby residents have expressed approval, and any problems that might have been anticipated appear to be mitigated. The private property was not purchased from the city of Detroit.
Second.
And I move this.
So that's a motion. Can I get a second?
Member Carr, second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
BZA case 2026-00035, Jasmine Weatherford requesting dimensional variances to establish a banquet facility has been granted.
Okay, congratulations.
Congratulations, thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, Director Brown is our next case in.
BZA case 2026-00040, Council District Number 6. The BZA petitioner is Timothy Flintoff. The owner is Lucas Bondi. The location is 3466 Lincoln between Brainerd and Martin Luther King Boulevard in an R3 low-density residential district. Timothy Flintoff requests dimensional variances to construct a 4-story, 36-unit, 41,195 square foot multi-family building with accessory off-street parking within an R3 zone, low-density residential district. We will now hear from Inspector Purefoy.
Thank you, Director. We are hearing this case today because the board shall be authorized to hear dimensional variance requests for matters that are beyond the scope of the building department's 10% administrative adjustments for a variance of minimum setbacks. The variance for this property is excessive building height, 35 feet allowed, 52 feet proposed, 17 feet excessive height. And under section 5013-6, maximum floor area ratio is excessive 47%. We are hearing this case under legal description attached. Our attorney will assess ownership. BC site plan review letter dated June 3rd, 2026 states, BC completed the review of the site plans on April 27th, 2026. The current legal land use of the above lots is vacant land, approximately 31,568 square feet. The properties are zoned R3, low density residential. The applicant is proposing to construct a 4-story, 36-unit, 41,195 square foot multifamily building with accessory off-street parking. The applicant has a pending sales agreement to purchase the 7 lots from the Detroit Land Bank. Multiple family dwellings with fewer than 50% of the units in the structure being efficiency units are permitted by right in an R3 district. However, as more than 12 dwelling units are being constructed, there are 34 units. Site plan review is required prior to issuance of a building permit. Under section 5014-34, household living, as proposed, 36 dwelling units are located within a half-mile from a high-frequency transit corridor, which is Grand River. 27 off-street parking spaces are required, and 27 are proposed. There's no parking deficiency. Section 5014-182A, 2 handicap accessible parking spaces are required. For the total 24 off-street parking spaces, 2 are provided and meets that requirement. Section 5014-365, interior landscaping. For the 27 space parking lot, a minimum of 486 square feet of interior landscaping is required. They provide 531 square feet. Section 5013-4, for the proposed building, the applicant is proposing an 18-foot front setback, 20 feet required, along with a 29 feet 8-inch rear setback, 30 feet required. However, under section 54-122 administrative adjustments, as the front and rear deficiencies are both less than 10%, BCE can provide an administrative waiver, thus a waiver shall not be required from the BZA. The variance that they do need, again, are the height. They are 17 feet excessive and excessive floor area ratio. Subject property is located on Lincoln, just off of Martin Luther King Boulevard. This is the view of that vacant land at the corner of Lincoln and Martin Luther King Boulevard. Shot looking up Lincoln towards Martin Luther King Boulevard and then Grand River, which is the high frequency corridor. View of the vacant land slated for the multifamily dwelling. You looking down Lincoln, looking to the north. The subject sites to the right on the screen. Again, this is block opposite, directly across the street. This is directly across the street and it's looking to the west. A long view of the subject property in question, again for the multifamily dwelling. And a view looking down Martin Luther King Boulevard, looking to the west. Block opposite. Intersection of Martin Luther King Boulevard, looking towards Grand River. And a view of the subject property looking down Martin Luther King Boulevard, looking to the east. And just a view of the subject site for the multifamily dwelling. And that concludes the visuals. Again, 2 variances, 1 for height and 1 for excessive floor area ratio.
Thank you, Inspector Purefoy. All right, Mr. Flintoff, if you could please come down. All right, so just be the 2 of you speaking today?
No, actually, there's 2 people online as well. Josh is online and Janae, with the development team.
So we'll need to get names and addresses from everybody, and Inspector Purefoy will swear the gang all in.
Yep, Timothy Flintoff, 4545 Commonwealth Street, Detroit, Michigan.
Morning, David Allen, 2909 Glenview Avenue, Royal Oak, Michigan.
Can I get your last name again? I'm sorry.
Allen, Allen.
Thank you. And two folks online. You can unmute yourself. We need your name and address, and Inspector Purifer will swear everybody in at once. We got Josh.
Yep. Josh Maddox, 265 Horton Street, Detroit, Michigan.
Who was the other one, Mr. Flintoff?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Johnny Maxey, 10680 East Ida Drive, Detroit, Michigan.
All right, would you all raise your right hands for me? Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Flintoff, what brings you before the BZA today?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we're here today to ask for some variances for a new multifamily project. I believe we sent a presentation on Friday, Director Ebron.
Sorry, we have to do standing. I forgot.
Oh, yes, yeah, you're right.
Attorney, Attorney Savage.
Good morning
Sorry.
again.
Sorry to forget you.
I'm very forgettable. I understand.
I figured you were napping anyway.
Well, I have the right to remain silent on that. So, okay, no, I'm just kidding. Good morning again, everyone. Erica Savage on behalf of the Law Department. Again, excuse me for not being present today in the forum. These questions, Mr. Flintoff, are to assess your standing, as you are aware, pursuant to section 50-3-3 of the City of Detroit zoning ordinance. Any party that petitions the Board of Zoning Appeals must possess sufficient standing, which means that you either have a legal interest in the property or you're authorized by the property owner to appear today on their behalf. The Law Department did a search of the public records for 3466 Lincoln, and I believe this is multiple parcels. I have 3475, 3466, 3481, 3490, 3491, 3501, 3507. It was a quick, well, it's specifically the 3466. We have a quick claim deed recorded on November 20th, 2014 at LIBOR 51896. Page 08208. All of the parcels are owned by the Detroit Land Bank Authority. And I recognize that there was a purchase agreement filed with the board, but could you please state your relationship with the Detroit Land Bank Authority, or who you're representing and their relationship with the Detroit Land Bank Authority?
Yeah, I'm Tim Plindoff with 4545 Architecture. We are hired by Janasco Development and Janae Maxey as the architect for the project. David is the representative from Janasco as well as Janae from the development team.
Okay, so I have to unpack a little bit of this because the purchase agreement that was provided to the city, and please forgive me because I was out of town last week. Otherwise, I would have sent a couple of emails. So I have to sort through it on the record. The purchase agreement is with the Detroit Land Bank Authority and GDC 3466 Lincoln Limited Dividend Housing Association. Is that party represented here?
Yes, it is. By myself, I'm an authorized agent of the proposed ownership group.
Okay, and who's that speaking?
My name is David Allen. I'm of Janasco Development Company. We're the developer of record. And I'm representing the proposed ownership group, like you said, a 3466 Lincoln LDHA.
Okay, so are you directly a member or a managing member or a part of Lincoln Limited Dividend Housing Association, or are you just representing them as a developer?
Yeah, as the owner's representative and authorized agent, we've submitted a letter authorizing myself to speak.
Oh, okay, forgive me. Is there a letter, Director Ribron?
Yes, there is.
Okay,
but there's a
I
letter.
don't have the packet. I'm sorry, I'm not there. I don't have the packet. I'm just going off of what I saw in the cellar. Okay, so Mr. Chair, are you satisfied with can you see the letter, or is it a letter? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I have that part of it together. So now the next part is I received an amendment to the purchase agreement, and it says that it expired on May 1st, 2026. Has there been another extension?
There has been an extension going an additional year to May of 2027.
Okay, was that provided in an update packet or anything? Because I just have the extension through the May 1st.
I believe Ms. Maxey provided that.
Yes, it's been provided.
Okay, Director Ribron or Mr. Chair, can someone verify that that's in the packet?
You see, I'm checking now. There was a letter from the land bank for sure, but honestly didn't read it all.
It was two different amendments sent as well as the original purchase agreement.
I think they had two extensions.
Yeah, there's a letter from the land bank with the extension, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. So, and so throughout this process, who's authorized to speak on behalf of the, we have to go back to the Lincoln Limited Dividend and Housing Association is present. Is there anyone other than Mr. Flintoff and his partner that is authorized to speak on behalf of this development or this process before the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yeah, in addition to myself, Mr. Flintoff, Mr. Maddox, Ms. Maxey of Maxey Developments, who's a partner in the proposed ownership group, is also authorized to speak.
Okay. All right. I think we unpacked it all. I think I have everything on the record and in writing. So based on the statements placed on the record, I'm satisfied with standing to proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Savage. Now you can go ahead, Mr. Flintoff.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We appreciate having us here this morning. Josh has a presentation that we sent on Friday. If we can get that pulled up, we can just kind of briefly show the project and talk about the intent for this new project in the Woodbridge neighborhood.
Mr. Maddox, you can go ahead with your presentation, please.
Sure. I think it sent a share request to have sharing turned on. Oh, okay, cool. That's fine. I'll indicate when we should move on to the next slide. So good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come and discuss the project. Again, I'm Josh Maddox of 4545 Architecture. We're the architect under contract with Ms. Maxey and Janasco Development to design the project. We can move forward to the next slide. The project sits at the south end of the Woodbridge Farms neighborhood. So we're near the intersection of Martin Luther King Boulevard, Trumbull, and Grand River. So you can see the highlighted lots flank Lincoln Street, just north of MLK Boulevard. You can also see the large kind of reddish brown roofed building to the upper left of our lots is the My Brother's Keeper Church. And then Scripps Park is across the street from that. And directly north of that, and those the lots that are shown as under construction on the map, that is the recent Scripps Park development by Robertson Brothers, just as sort of some orientation for the project. If you can switch to the next slide. So this is a site plan for the proposed project. You can see Lincoln Street kind of runs at an angle down the middle of the page. MLK runs along the bottom of the page, and then Brainerd Street is along the top, kind of top left corner. As we have parcels on either side of the street, we're proposing the apartment building itself will be on the west side of Lincoln. You can see that outlined there. And the parking will be on the opposite side of Lincoln on those parcels. And what we think that this allows us to do, in discussion with the community, this was really important, was to keep the building fronting the street and to not surround it with a sea of parking. So the opportunity we have with having parcels on both sides allows us to do that. So we think we're able to do a pretty good job of kind of keeping with the sort of character and configuration of the neighborhood, which is not very sort of parking as the visual is what I'd say. So the building kind of has its own presence on Lincoln Street. We think that's very successful. In addition to this, we're also keeping the building pulled away from Brainerd Street to the north. You can see we have an entire parcel that's left unbuilt, and we're proposing to develop that parcel into a small pocket park. So it would generally consist of a pedestrian pathway that cuts through. The pathway would be lit, and then there would be some plantings and some pedestrian oriented seating. So even though this is part of the project parcel, it is private land. The intention would be for that park to not be fenced in, so that it is sort of accessible and people can sort of move through it. The kind of design of that park, we're actually memorializing an existing cow path, so it's already a place where people in the neighborhood are using it to kind of transverse through. Just some details on the project. It's 4 stories. It's 36 total units. And I know the variances that we're looking at are related to the height of the building and also the total FAR. And obviously those two are related. And I cannot personally speak to it, but I know that this is a MISHDA project. So the funding sources have very specific requirements, and the unit count and the unit mix and all of those details of the project are tied to that funding availability. So in order to kind of maximize the value of the site in terms of the housing density it's able to provide, that is what pushes us to that 4th story in order to get the 36 units. Obviously, if this were a longer, lower building, we would be building out much more of the site, and then we wouldn't have the opportunity for that small park on the north side. So I just wanted to throw that out there. If Janae or David can speak to more about the funding, if that is of interest to anybody, I'd welcome them to do that. But in general, that's kind of where we are. It's a 4-story building. The site was formerly the site of the Kenmore Apartments, which were kind of part of the original church complex, and that was a 3.5-story building. So we're sort of keeping within the sort of mass of the building that was there previously. So if we move forward to the next slide.
I'll just add a couple of things on the site plan real quick. You can kind of notice the site has a couple of unique constraints where the alley has a weird angle, so that limits the shape of the building a little bit. And then as well as that, north lot is the remnants of an old historic district. So it presents a challenge of the building potentially being half in a district and half out of a district. So that was part of the reason why the park is there as well, is to kind of honor the district as its own standalone piece and allow the building to kind of reside outside of the district. So that kind of also limited our footprint, as well as the building is a modular construction. So these will be pre-assembled units that will be site delivered and stacked. So we're working within the constraints of a modular design. So that again is a footprint that's being driven by a metric of a way of producing something in a more efficient manner.
What was the agency for the funding? I didn't catch that.
Yeah, the project is using low-income housing tax credits allocated through the State Housing Development Authority, as well as an allocation of home dollars from the city of Detroit.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Josh, you can continue now. Sorry.
Great. Thank you. So this is a kind of a typical floor plan for the building. You can see that it's completely accessible with elevators serving all floors. Again, because these are, as Tim mentioned, it's modular construction. So all of the units are pre-assembled off-site in a factory setting. So the installation tolerances of everything are much higher. The tightness of the building, kind of the structural rigidity of everything is much higher than it would be if it was a traditional site-built building. So we're able to provide there's inherent energy efficiency gains through that tightness. And again, with some of the MISTA requirements, the energy efficiency, the noise, noise canceling capabilities of the construction, those are all higher than what we would normally see just in the building code. Another thing to point out is because these are pre-designed modular units, even the units that are not designated as ADA accessible, everything is designed to be ADA accessible. This is a point that I like to bring up a lot, where accessibility is not just wheelchair access, but it's, as our neighbors age and mobility becomes an issue, designing things so that there's sufficient room to move around and navigate the spaces. Even if you're not in a wheelchair, having that extra space and designing things in that way is still very important. So even a regular, typical unit that isn't designated with as ADA accessible, it might not have the grab bars in the bathroom, but it's designed to have the spatial considerations for people who might have mobility issues, that maybe they just I guess the point is it's not just about the specificity of wheelchair accessibility, it's general accessibility. So I just wanted to point out that all of these units will meet those standards. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, we can actually just jump forward a couple of slides to the 3D renderings. Generally, the architecture of the project, the materiality is majority brick. Keeping tones that are similar to the church, My Brother's Keeper, which is next door, and in the same tone as the Kenmore apartment building that was there previously. Sort of neutral earth tones, and then bringing in some composite and metal panel as well to kind of add that more contemporary piece to it. And moving on to the next piece. Part of the modular construction constraint is there are some solid walls that we end up with, but Woodbridge is, a neighborhood that really takes advantage of a lot of wall space and has a lot of public art. So we think that it's an opportunity to have some more public art in the community. This is right next to the giraffe building, as it's known, because of the big giraffe and sunshine mural that's on it. It's kind of the gateway to the neighborhood. So we think that this provides us an opportunity to integrate some of that artwork into this project to allow it to sort of become part of the neighborhood flavor that's already established. And that's it. So we can, I think, maybe go back to the site plan or floor plan and open it up for discussion from there. Thank you so much.
Any questions from the board? Mr. Bowman?
Yeah, I blinked at some point during your presentation. I'm sorry about that if I did. So how much parking do we have here relative to the number of units?
So we're at 0.75 spaces per unit, 27 required by that calculation, and we're providing 27 in that parking lot across the street.
Thank you.
Mr. Maddox, you mentioned that part of the reason that you're doing what you're doing is because you had conversation with the community. The height concerns me, or it would certainly concern me if it was near my my home. Can you speak a little bit about I don't see any letters of objection. In fact, I see letters of support. But can you talk a little bit about the community engagement that you did?
Yep. So we have the benefit, Tim is a current resident of Woodbridge. I was a resident of Woodbridge up until a few years ago. So we know the neighborhood organizations and the Woodbridge Neighborhood Development Corporation pretty well. Ms. Maxey also had direct contact to those groups. We did at their most recent Woodbridge Citizens Council meeting. We gave a presentation and had discussion about the project. That was not the first time that anybody had seen the project. This is something that's been sort of shared previously. And Woodbridge is a neighborhood that has a lot of different housing types. Just up the street, there's a 5-story apartment building on Lincoln. Even in the sort of non-Woodbridge farms, the Woodbridge proper, I'll call it, part of the neighborhood, which is across the street from across Trumbull, north of Scripps Park, that's a little bit more dense. That has a lot of 3- and 4-story apartment buildings mixed in with single family and duplexes. So this being at the far south end of the neighborhood, and it's more related to the church, which is one of the largest buildings in the neighborhood, and then some of the other buildings that kind of go up Grand River towards the west there. It's kind of the most appropriate place to have a building that's slightly taller. It's sort of in scale with that end of the neighborhood versus if it were, nestled between 2 single family homes. So I'm kind of answering 2 questions there. I would say that throughout the community engagement, the height of the building is something that didn't really come up as a concern. And I think that it's because of those other details that I mentioned of where it is, what its individual context is, and the fact that there's, a range of scales already happening in the neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. So the building that's on the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, I drive by it obviously all the time because I live in Corktown, but is that 2 or 3 stories? The one right at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, just sold.
Oh, at MLK in Trouble, you mean?
MLK in Trouble?
Yeah, MLK, sorry.
Yep, that's 3 stories.
3 stories?
Yes.
Okay. And they're kind of taller stories too, right?
They are, because
it's
so you're probably gonna
commercial.
you're probably gonna be pretty much in line with that, I would think. Or close.
Yeah, and the other multifamily down along Martin Luther King Jr. Are 3-story, but they're also gabled roofs. So they have some more height. And we're a flat roof, so we're kind of going to be in similar height to them because we aren't picking up that extra roof height from a trussed roof or a sloped roof.
Well, if the community doesn't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem.
Janae, did you want to add anything about the community engagement that you did?
Yeah, so we've been talking with the community over the years. So this project has been ongoing for about 5 years now. So they've been involved throughout the process, giving us feedback, us making adjustments. So yeah, they're definitely on board.
Yeah, I know that they're pretty well organized up there in Woodbridge. And did Jai Singletary chime in and provide a letter or any type of support? That's okay if you don't. Usually he provides letters, so I was just curious.
I think Janae can't unmute herself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Rexon.
All right, perfect. Yes, he provided a letter of support.
Okay.
It should be in the packet. But yeah, we spoke with him as well.
Okay, thank you. I might have missed it.
And then the Woodbridge Citizens Council president also provided a letter of support.
Thank you. Member Osborne.
Good morning. 4545 in Genosco, those present and virtual. I believe that was that Mr. Allen or Mr. Maddox who spoke about the low income housing tax credits. Yep. How does that work together with access to affordable housing on this project?
Sure. So the original award from the Michigan State Housing Authority for 4% tax credits established the income bands That would have eligibility to move into the property, ranging up to a max of 80% AMI, but also establishing units at 40 and 50% at AMI. So a max income eligibility of 40, 50, and some units at 80. In addition to that, we have a supportive allocation from HUD for project-based Section 8 vouchers. So we're working alongside of HUD to establish even deeper affordability on a number of those units, 25 of them, in fact, at this moment.
You said 25?
25 out of 36 would be supported by project-based vouchers through HUD.
And those 25 will be spread out between the 80, 40, 50, and Section 8.
That's right.
Okay.
Deeply affordable. Section 8.
So am I correct in my thought process where this extra floor is needed to capture the MISTA funding?
In order to achieve the unit mix, yeah, that was the intention of it.
Okay.
Can you say that one more time, but a little closer to the mic?
I apologize. In order to achieve the unit mix that was established through the award of tax credits through MISTA, yes.
And does that MISTA funding, so now I'm kind of moving to construction. Does that MISTA funding bring on any sort of wage requirement with the construction work?
Yeah, it should be, it'll be Davis-Bacon requirement, yeah.
And, okay, so the work on site is governed by, as far as the wages, that's governed by the Davis-Bacon laws. What about, I believe it was Mr. Flintoff, you mentioned modular construction. How does that work with I think you said there's somewhere off-site that these modules are built and then shipped on-site. So are you guys capturing, do those workers get Davis-Bacon wages as well?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the modular production factory, and this is probably as far as I can explain as not being representative of the modular factory, but they are exempt from Davis-Bacon for offsite work.
So they're exempt?
That's right.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of work to bring in, to build the modules offsite.
Yeah.
As compared to assembly, right? Because we're just putting them together on site.
Right.
So a lion's share of that work is done without the wage requirement?
I'm not sure if I would call it a lion's share. It's probably closer to 50% or less of the actual total development costs would be anticipated.
I'm asking these questions.
Speak to the percentage. I mean, we've still got infrastructure, foundations, all of the facades, probably 20 to 30% of it is stick built as well, because it can't all be 100% modular. Roofing, all that stuff is done on site. So really it's just the kind of the structure and the interior finishes that are assembled, and they come unclad, unwrapped. You know, they're still 50% of the work is done on site.
What about a local hiring requirement for the work that's done on site? Do you have any language for that?
Yeah, both the City of Detroit award has requirements that we're abiding to with that as well. Yep.
You know your construction representative would be?
It right now it's planned to be through Janasco Construction Company.
Okay. I'm glad you got the community support. I would really as like I say, recommend that you guys reach out to Council's Skilled Trades Task Force for local hiring, local workers, wages. Be good to put some money in the pockets of Detroit residents on this, if you're successful today.
Member Johnson?
Yes, this project looks familiar, like the one on Jefferson that Janasco has. That's the modular build. And I do know that those modular build, the modulars are coming from the factory in Romulus. So I'm looking like, and I know that was, the max was a four-story building on that one as well. So This looks like it's, conforms to what's already happening. And I know there were other modular builds that were done by the Romulus factory.
So this is coming from Romulus, is that correct?
Yeah, the modular production facilities in Romulus.
And then, so you said facade. So first off, I really like the fact that you're spending money on brick. Cause it fits the neighborhood and, and whatnot. So that brick is added on later then?
Yeah, that would be. Always.
Yeah, so the footings would be designed to accommodate it, and that would be just like you would brick any other stick-built building, where it'd be a brick veneer with an air gap. So no different than that. It's just the backup wall is already assembled as part of the stacking process.
Any other comments from the board or questions? Okay, thank you for your presentation. We're gonna hear from our departments now. Mr. Pierce, Building Safety and Engineering.
Good morning, Inspector Connor Pierce here with BZA Zoning. Yeah, starting off here, this is located in the R3 Low Density Residential Zoning District, with a portion of the property that corresponds with the proposed garden park area falling within the Woodbridge Farm Historic District. I just wanted to place that on record and let the petitioner know that a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic District Commission would be required for that development there. So just make sure that you're in early talks with the Historic District Commission staff for that prior to moving forward with a building permit associated with the site. Yeah, as was stated earlier, the proposed use here is permitted by right within the zoning district, given that the majority of the units are not studio or efficiency units. And it was required to go through site plan review, however, seeing as the number of units exceeded 12 for this development. Yeah, the variances that are requested here, the excessive height and the floor area ratio, those are something that we go beyond our administrative adjustment for waiving. In particular, the height, we have some additional mechanisms within the ordinance that would normally allow for exceptions to that for business zoning districts or for contextualized height if a property was developed next door to this. However, those don't apply to this case, so this would require going to the BZA for a variance. I also wanted to place on record, I noticed from the site plan review letter that an off-street loading space would be required for this development, a 12-foot by 35-foot off-street loading space that it's not currently shown on the plans, but I didn't see it listed as a variance that's being requested for this hearing. So just want to note to the petitioner that that would still be a requirement if it's not being varied here. But those are all my comments for right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does Ms. Sharpley have a report for this one?
No.
I didn't think so. Okay. If you want to come back up, we're going to move to our criteria. I can't remember the first one. Approval criteria, sorry. Just so we don't get into a quagmire down the road, did you want to address Inspector Pierce's comment on the loading area?
Josh, did you have a comment on that?
So, a couple things. So with commercial projects, there is a kind of a leniency where if you have an alley adjacent to the property that is at least, I believe it's 18 feet is the minimum, then you can count the alley as the loading space. I know that does not apply to residential only projects. I guess with the loading zone situation, because our parking lot is situated across the street and the loading for the project is mainly going to be people moving in and out. You know, it's trucks, moving trucks are going to be pulling up on the front curb and, maybe the alley, but most likely the front curb, so that people can come in and access that freight elevator. So adding a dedicated loading zone to the parking lot, or I guess somehow creating some vehicular access onto the main site, which would be, you know, we're either doing that in the front and it becomes extra concrete and kind of a weird eyesore in the front of the building. It doesn't seem like it's practical. So if there is either a mechanism to omit the designation of a loading zone and kind of do that through variance, or to get a loading zone designated on the street, if there's a process for that, that seems to make more sense for this project. We could figure out space and show it in the parking lot, but we just practically that's not going to be, used, and it's not going to be useful for the project.
Member Osborne?
Yeah, real quick, it looked like you guys ran into situations where you required 2 extensions. Is that correct? Are you able to comment to what pushed that out? Because if I'm looking correctly, from purchase, you have, looks like 2 years to complete the project, but now we're 3 years out.
I believe the deadline within the purchase agreement should be to fully acquire the property, which would be set to happen at financial closing. Right now, we're clear and set to do that, assuming all goes well in November of this year. The 2 extensions, as this project went through iterations of, particularly in the financial feasibility realm of things, that's what required us to negotiate a few extensions with the land bank.
Yeah, there's plenty of money out there. It just costs more money to borrow it, I guess. Okay.
Director Ribron, how do we handle this loading zone issue? Because I'm concerned that they're going to get pushed back to us down the road. Mr. Pierce?
Yes. For that loading zone, there's no mechanism on our end to be able to waive that requirement. As the petitioner stated, the residential use, we were not allowed to waive that for that alley width. That's only for commercial uses. So that would need to be a variance if they're not able to accommodate that on the site.
So can we add that today?
My question is, was that, we can do that, but was that information included in the BC letter?
No, we didn't have it in the letter.
Yes, it's included in the letter, in the site plan review letter. It's not listed as a variance requirement, but it is listed as a condition for the 36 units. A 12-foot by 35-foot off-street loading zone shall be included in the final construction drawings prior to issuance of a permit.
So to the petitioner, are you able to satisfy that, or do you need a variance for that as well?
We'd rather have a variance for it because we'd likely ask DPW for a loading zone on the street, but that's a request that we would do as a right-of-way request. So it would be better to have the variance now. Fortunately, the alley is 20 feet behind the property, so it would meet a similar requirement if there was a commercial component. So we do exceed that 18-foot width, and portion of it could be used as a loading zone, but not officially because of it's not having a commercial component.
So, Director, I'm just looking for some guidance because I don't know if it's appropriate that we add that.
It's a variance, and if you all waive it, he gets it. If not, then he has to do it.
Okay.
I'm just concerned that BC, this needs to be clarified in the report as a variance and not how it was put in. It needs to be clear that there's a variance so we don't have these types of issues on the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So Inspector Pierce, it's your opinion then that a variance is required?
Yes, it sounds like it would be.
Okay. All right, so we're actually looking at three variances for this project. One for excessive height, one for excessive floor area. Those two are kind of related because the height is what triggers the floor area ratio, and then also the loading zone. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through our approval criteria. Which, oh, Member Bowman.
Yeah, just to be clear, would we be then adding this on as a variance in this hearing, or would that require an additional hearing?
No, we're going to add it on today.
Okay,
so they don't have to come back.
And may I ask the petitioner a question also right now?
Sure.
Yeah, so as a practical matter, aside from the distinction of, well, if it was commercial, you could count the alley. If it's not commercial, you can't, and it isn't. I also wanted to understand, from a practical standpoint, would people then be able to, if they're moving things in, moving things out, kind of a light went on when you mentioned this, will it all be reasonably doable without them getting in the way of the street traffic, without having to go back and forth from the parking lot that is across the roadway? Because I've seen this intersection. It's quite a interesting intersection, to say the least. And so that's why I'm asking that.
Yeah, we had a similar project in Midtown where we didn't have, the alley was only 16 feet wide. So we actually were in discussions with DPW to have designated loading zone area marked in front of the building, which would be our first approach here probably. But we would also then have the alley that we could use as a loading zone. It's a very underutilized alley already. We're not parking off of it. So we have walkways, people could park there and bring their stuff around. So there's options. We wouldn't use the parking lot and bring it across because it just wouldn't be feasible to have people do that. We'd want to keep them on the same block and moving their materials either from the alley around, from the front in. But we wouldn't want to see people crossing traffic. I'd use that road every day going towards downtown, so I know how busy it can get backed up with people trying to make lefts there. So but it is a wide road and not a lot of people park on the street there either. So there would be room for a truck to park there in a loading zone if we got it designated.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board? Otherwise, we'll go to our approval criteria. And Member Sherman, if you could start out with 1 and 2.
Good morning, Board Member Sherman. Do you believe the requested variance that you are seeking today is consistent with the master plan of the city of Detroit? And if so, can you explain why?
Yes, we do think it's consistent with the master plan. This is an R3 zoning district, which is lower density, but along a major thoroughfare. So it has an opportunity for the current density that we're proposing as a multifamily project. There's already multiple multifamily projects along MLK Junior Boulevard on the north side between Grand River and Lodge Service Drive, and then extending towards downtown. Midtown. So we think it's consistent with the master plan.
What are the practical difficulties that prevent you from carrying out the strict letter of this chapter?
Because the site's unique shape with the alley configuration creating a wedge at the front, because it's partially in a historic district and partially not, that created constraints that we believe that the footprint and the design that we're proposing is the most appropriate.
Thank you.
Hello, Board Member Bowman here. First of all, does the requested variance or administrative adjustment eliminate a practical difficulty to you, the applicant?
Josh, I'll let you take the next two.
Sure. Yes. Again, with the constraints that Tim mentioned before, allowing us to do the 4th story kind of helps us navigate the configuration of the site. and allowing us to have the extra floor area ratio, which comes with that extra story. We're able to hit the unit mix that sort of opens up the door for all of the affordability components and funding components for the project.
Okay, thank you. And please explain how the requested variance or administrative adjustment will have no significant adverse impact on the health, safety, or general welfare of the surrounding property owners or the general public or upon natural environment.
Sure. The variances, given that they're specifically related to the height and the floor area ratio of the building, however, the overall sort of massing of the building wouldn't be that different. So the fact that we're adding the fourth story, because of we're not, because this project is situated where it is in the neighborhood and the buildings that are already around it, it's not going to have an adverse effect on those buildings immediately surrounding it. Again, if this were being situated between two single-family homes, that would be a different discussion. But because this is facing a major thoroughfare, there are other larger, public and commercial-oriented buildings nearby. It kind of fits that context. So it's not really doing anything negative in this area of the neighborhood. It's sort of playing along with the context that's already there. And natural environment, we're also able to provide a little bit more open space by doing this configuration. So that's, if anything, it's a benefit to the sort of environment and the enjoyment of the environment by the local residents.
Did you do 4 and 5? 1, 2, 5 and 6, Member Watson.
Number 5, please explain how any adverse impact resulting from the variance will be mitigated to the maximum extent possible.
So if this is talking about sort of the operation of the project once it's built, we're really talking about number of units, and I think it's like 9 units that we're gaining from the extra floor. So really this is sort of a property management question. And because this is being held as a rental development, then there will be a consistent ownership of the project moving forward, and a management company that will be on site and able to work with residents nearby. Obviously, if there's a need to schedule loading and unloading of people moving in and moving out, managing the parking lot, there will be people in place doing that, and people who are able to be contacted by the neighborhood if there are problems.
Number 6, how and why is this requested variance or administrative adjustment required to compensate for some unusual aspects of the site or the proposed development that is not shared by landowners in general?
So again, the unique config, the kind of wedge-shaped configuration of the south end of the site, and as Tim mentioned, the historic designation to the north end of the site, it does sort of constrict the buildable footprint, and then that sort of comes at odds with the sort of density requirement and density goals of the project. So that might be a consideration that's not necessarily shared by other landowners, and that might be specific to this site.
Member Parker, 7 and 8, please.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Will you please explain how the special circumstances and conditions that account for the need for the variances or administrative adjustment is not the result of your actions?
So the site consideration, the configuration of the site is what it is. There are, some of these parcels are kind of cut off by the angle of the alley to the west side that, we're kind of working with those existing geometric constraints. And then again, I would argue that the sort of economic constraints of needing to provide a certain unit mix and unit density for the project to make it effective are, out of the hands of the developer. And if we were to try to meet the intent, the letter of the zoning, we might end up with something that's a market rate project versus being able to bring something that is more affordable to the market.
Okay. Also, explain how the variances or administrative adjustment will not permit the establishment within a zoning district of any use which is prohibited within the district.
Sure. So there is no use being proposed that is at odds with the existing zoning. It is 100% residential in nature. So we're not establishing anything that could allow any other uses that might be nuisances to come in. These dimensional variances are related to kind of the overall, height and bulk of the building. And again, our argument being that it's actually more contextual for a building like this to be where it is. So another project down the road that's going to be in a different part of the neighborhood, it would have to be judged against its specific context, and that might be a different situation. But because of where we are, we think it fits. If this project were being proposed 3 blocks north, it might not fit, and the variances might not be appropriate. But we think that they are appropriate for this specific case we're presenting today.
Thank you.
Member Osborne, 9 and 10, please.
Please explain how the variance or administrative adjustment will do substantial justice to you as well as to other property owners in the district, and how a lesser relaxation would not give substantial relief.
So again, the height and FAR variances allow us to bring this project forward in the configuration that it currently is. With it having the certain affordability components that it does, it allows us to leave that open space to be developed as a public amenity. And without these variances, those elements probably wouldn't exist. And, bringing this type of project forward is sort of the whole intent of the development team. There is no intent to bring more market rate, housing with this project. Like, this is meant to be an affordable project, and these variances allow that to happen in the best way possible.
Is this city-owned property?
Yes.
And one last question. Do you have I know we early in the game on this one, but as was stated earlier, I believe that was member said that. Hold on, let me see. I was taking some notes. Oh, member Johnson was saying earlier that you guys have a project over, was that Jefferson and Van Dyke? So do you have what I'm asking is, do you have a preferred vendor for the property management set already, or no?
We do. We would be working with KMG Prestige on this project. They manage a number of Janasco developed properties within the city of Detroit and beyond our portfolio as well. They're very experienced in the city.
Thank you.
Going back to number 5, when it comes to impacts in the community, I assume that you're going to use the parking lot for your construction staging.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously you live in the neighborhood, so you know, if anybody has any problems with the construction and whatnot, you'll be available.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're 100% available. The neighborhood knows how to get a hold of me very easily, as well as Josh and the development team. Yeah, they know we've been engaged. We've done other projects in the neighborhood, so they know how we work.
That little nugget, there's not much going on anyways. Any other questions for the petitioner from the board? All right, seeing none. If you want to go ahead and step back, we're going to go to public comment now, as well as communications. If there's anything that is brought up of concern from the public, you'll have an opportunity to come back up and address those. Any communications on this, Director Ron?
There were several letters of support. They're at the back of the booklet.
Okay. Then we will open up public comment. If you're in the auditorium today and you want to make public comment specific to 3466 Lincoln Street, please come up to the podium. Public comment for 3466 Lincoln Street in the auditorium. Seeing nobody, will switch over to virtual public comment. If you're online and you'd like to make a public comment specific to 3466 Lincoln Street, please raise your hand. Public comment specific to 3466 Lincoln Street, please raise your hand. Do you see anybody, Director Brown?
Tyson Gersh.
Mr. Gersh, if you could please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
And Inspector Purefour will swear you in.
Okay.
Need your name and address, please.
Oh yeah, if she said something I couldn't hear. My name is Tyson Gersh. My address is 252 Smith Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48202.
Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
You have 2 minutes, Mr. Gersh.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I live nowhere near this project and have no interest near this project. So anything I have to say, you shouldn't listen to with regards to this project, because I wouldn't be aggrieved by it. That said, one, there's a lot of similarities between this and the one of the Northern Landing structures. And it's interesting because they also forgot about the alleyway loading requirement. I think this is like a recurring issue with BC, and I know in the 6th general, they're trying to extend the exemption to residential structures to allow an alleyway to be used for off-street loading. In the case of Northern Landing, and I don't know if this is the case here, but if all of the parking is only accessible through the parking lot, I don't think you should be able to also use that for the loading space, because it would block the only means of access to the parking lots. Also, I don't think you cannot just add a variance on the fly. Like this is just part of this ongoing fundamental due process issue within the culture of the city of Detroit government. Notice is prong 1 of due process. You cannot vote on something when you have not notified people about it, and there is no indication that that thing is being voted on, and nobody that would be aggrieved was given notice about now what is being voted on. You just can't do that. Just purely procedurally, you cannot do that, and I'm shocked that Ms. Savage has not already intervened and said we can't do that. Just as a legal matter, like you have to have another hearing, and I'm sorry because like logistically that's
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, Director Ron?
Joanne Warwick.
Ms. Warwick, if you could please unmute yourself. We'll need your name and address, and Inspector Purefour will swear you in. Ms. Warwick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Name and address, and Inspector will swear you in. You'll have 2 minutes.
Yeah, my name is Joanne Warwick. My address is 264 Smith. And very politely, this isn't public comment, it's public testimony. That's why you're asking me to swear in. I wish you would all understand the difference. But
Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is the truth?
Yeah, it's the truth and or my opinion.
You have 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. First of all, is there some reason you don't have the agenda post for today posted on your website? I mean, that's a big notice issue too. And I've noticed this repeatedly that you don't have this information. So I reached out to somebody who lives in the neighborhood. They didn't know about it. I mean, just like I know outreach is not an exact science, but there's definitely a tremendous room for improvement here. Um, Also, somebody making a comment about not wanting a four-story building next to them. Gee, I don't want a four-story building next to me, but it didn't seem to matter to anybody on the BZA or many people at the city. Also, Mr. Byron Osborne, very politely, I think you have a conflict of interest and should not be on this board since you got up at the solar thing and were supporting jobs for the IBEW, not caring about people losing their property, but just caring about your hey, jobs are great, but think about the people in the actual area. So I got a little issue with that. And then you got your little cheat sheet thing here, which kind of indicates to me that despite whatever training you get, you don't seem to fully know the job and just walk through these questions. And then I was told the decision is written later. And I don't think you're properly making your decisions because you're supposed to make your findings when you make your motion to pass stuff. So, if I were in the neighborhood, I wouldn't be happy with that, except that if you are putting this along MLK, that seems a little more appropriate to be putting a large building than inside a neighborhood, such as you all seem to be okay, or most of you seem to be okay with shoving North End Landing in our neighborhood against the will of the people who live right there, knowing it was a very non-inclusive and non-meaningful community engagement process. In fact, it was planned in secret. So,
Time.
Thank you, Ms. Warwick. Anybody else, Director?
John Wiley.
Mr. Wiley, if you could please unmute yourself. You need your name and address. The inspector will swear you in and you'll have 2 minutes. Mr. Wiley.
3414 Cochran.
Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is the truth?
Yes,
Thank you.
You have 2 minutes, sir.
thanks. I live just across MLK in North Corktown, so not exactly Woodbridge, but very close to this development. I think the development up and down MLK recently has been great. This height is very appropriate for such a major thoroughfare. It'll be great to have more residents joining in an area that's getting built up quite a bit. And I think Tim and his team has done great work in the past in our neighborhood and surrounding areas. So I think the look of this building is great. I like the added artwork. And I appreciate the board considering the zoning variance and the loading variance right now. I think the plan they've laid out sounds really good. There's a lot of room, like Mr. Flintoff said, it's not a heavily parked area. And just across kitty corner, we don't have issues with parking all that much. So very supportive of this project. Looking forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else, Director?
That's it.
Okay, we will close out public comment now. I don't know if you want to make any comments on anything that was brought up. Okay. All right, we'll go into board only discussion and a motion is always in order. Member Bowman?
Yeah, is it okay to make a brief question to Attorney Savage?
Yes.
Yeah, Attorney Savage, I don't know if you can hear me right now, I assume. I just wanted you to address whether or not Mr. Gersh's issue with the bringing in of a new variance into the discussion, is that at all problematic? The addition of a new variance to this this hearing.
No, Attorney Savage, that variance was in the report. It just was not under the variances, but it was stated that it needed to happen.
There's two ways to look at that. If it's something that I don't know if it was because it was oversight, or was it not a separate application? So the BZA director and the administrative staff has the discretion to take the money for an application for a variance request that's on the agenda. As you see, even for the next one, there's different there's the next case hearings that we're coming up to, each one is its own line item. And I suspect that that's a variance for each parcel, but we've seen it different ways because it's the same parcel and it's already something that's been noticed. And it's in the public report. If that report has been published, there's nothing wrong with the board in its discretion making any type of modifications to any order and decision that it makes. So it is a very nuanced thing to say the difference between a modification or a condition versus something that the person is requesting. What I'm hearing is this is not something that's new. This is something that was already incorporated into the BC decision. Is that correct? That's what you're saying, Mr.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So if this was already incorporated into the BC decision, to me, and as long as that letter was then produced to the body, which it has been, and any additional modifications or changes, the board does have a very broad authority, so there's nothing to say that you can't be in this hearing and still feel that something is necessary in your discretion and you're ordering it to be varied or you're ordering it to be amended under your powers under Chapter 50. So that is a fine line. But if this was a brand new topic, if this was something that had not already been discussed with BC, if this was something that all the information and knowledge about it was new to the public, then I would say a hard no, and we needed to start over and incorporate that into the BC decision and go forward. So I'm comfortable under these circumstances, but I will note it's not always the same. In some instances, Mr. Gersh may be correct about the notice that the public will need for you to vary something, but I think we're okay in this instance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I also noted that I asked BC in the future to include all of those variances under variances and not in the report. So that is on the record also, Mr. Bowman. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Watson?
I would just say that I'm in favor of this, granting the variance to the petitioner.
Any other comments from the board? I'm also in favor. I like the fact that they have a parking lot across the street that they don't need a parking variance at all, because that's always a concern, these type of projects. I understand the practical difficulty with the shape of the lot and whatnot, and I appreciate that they, even though with that and with the required height or the variance for the required height shrinks the building size a little bit, so there's a decent setback off of all the streets, and it allows for that parking pocket park, which I think is great. I also appreciate the expense of going with a brick veneer as opposed to something less aesthetically appealing. Two major communications. And then also, I would not be in favor of the height variance, except for I do have an understanding of the practical difficulty that they have, and not hearing anything negative from the community is huge for me. In fact, they have 6 or so letters of support. We had a public virtual public comment today in support, and then also Woodbridge is a fairly well organized neighborhood, and they have support letters from both of the major community organizations as well. So I'd be in favor of this granting these variances also. Member Osborne.
Make a motion if nobody else has anything.
Thank you. Good.
All right, BZA case 2026-00040, location being 3466 Lincoln. I make a motion that this board grant the dimensional variances to construct a 4-story, 36-unit, 41,195 square foot multifamily building with accessory off-street parking. Those variances being 3, excessive building height, deficient loading zone, and maximum floor area ratio being exceeded. My reasoning for this motion is that this project does conform to the master plan, being in an R3 zone, all residential project. The logistics of the site are what proved to be a deficiency, what proved to be an issue with going forward, requiring the variances. The site configuration, if we grant these variances, the site configuration will be resolved and the additional floor will satisfy the unit mix. The additional floor does not present a negative effect to the surrounding buildings. If there are any negative impacts going forward, once this is complete, the petitioner has stated that they are using a property management company to handle any issues in the building. They also have a working relationship with the neighborhood and existing residents. Again, the land configuration and historic designation seem to constrict their adherence to our zoning ordinance rules. The property lines have hindered their project so far. The site configuration has capped them as far as the affordability goals with their funding. This will be a residential project, so I don't see any other business. They haven't stated any other business than what they've come to request today. And bringing more residents to this area, developing this land, creating a space that will be open to be used by the public, even though it's private property, that will satisfy what I see as developing this area. And there's nothing more that this board could have done today that they are requesting.
Got a motion and a second? Got
Board
a
Mem-
motion and a second?
Board Member Parker, second.
So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
BZA case 2026-00040. Timothy Flintoff requesting dimensional variances to construct a 4-story 36-unit multifamily building with accessory off-street parking has been granted.
Okay. All right, so to the board, this next case, or actually series of cases, there's 4 cases, all basically for the same development, but there's 4 addresses within the development, all of which need variances. But the variances that are needed are essentially the same for all 4 properties. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the approval criteria and hear from our departments on the entire project. We're only going to do that one time. And then we're going to individually have public comment and vote on each of the 4 addresses. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. That'll save us a little bit of time, and I think it makes perfect sense. So that's what we're going to do. So Director, if you could call the cases, please.
Just a slight correction. We will read all the cases in, hear the inspector's report, hear from the petitioner. Then we will do the approval criteria for each case and take public comment. So we will read everything in, and then before we do the approval criteria, we will read the case number again so people will know which one we're dealing with.
Okay.
So BZA case 2026-00036 at 4244 4th Street. BZA case 2026-00037 at 4254 4th Street. BZA case 2026-00038 at 4260 4th Street. And BZA case 2026-00039 at 4250 4th Street. The BZA petitioner is Timothy Flintoff. The owner is Lucas Bondi. Timothy Flintoff requests dimensional variances in each of the 4 cases mentioned for a second primary structure and the garage carriage house. These cases were plan reviewed. The subject site is within an R2 two-family residential district. We will now hear from Inspector Purefoy.
Thank you, Director. For all of these cases, we are hearing these cases because the board shall be authorized to hear dimensional variance requests for matters that are beyond the scope of the building department's 10% administrative adjustments for a variance of minimum setbacks. For all the cases, the variances are the same: deficient front yard setback, more than one principal structure on a zoning lot, deficient side yard setback, and excessive lot coverage. They all were plan reviewed on June 5th, 2026, and they state, please provide a copy of the recorded Board of Zoning Appeals grant for deficient front setback, minimum 18 feet allowable, 8 feet proposed, 10 feet deficient. More than one principal structure on a zoning lot in an R2 district, deficient side yard setbacks for rear ADU, 10 feet 6 inches combined setback, 6 feet combined setback, 4 feet 6 inches deficient for the side yard setback. Excessive lot coverage, 45% allowed, 53% proposed, 8% excessive. Again, these are for the four addresses: 4244 4th Street, 4254 4th Street, 4260 4th Street, and 4250 4th Street. And as I go through the photos, I'll show you exactly where each address is. So 4244 is the first one, and it'll be closer to this house. 4244 is right next to this house, which also was a board-approved case. And then they go down 4250, 4254, and 4260, which is closer to the corner of Calumet. So if you're looking down 4th Street, looking to the south, there's a view towards Calumet. The last address of 4260 is at the corner. It's the corner of Calumet and 4th Street. You looking down Calumet, looking to the east. Long view of the vacant lots associated for the 4 separate addresses, looking down 4th Street. This is on the corner of Calumet and 4th Street, residential development. View looking down Calumet, looking to the east. Long view of the frontage of the properties, looking down 4th Street. A block opposite. View looking down Calumet Street to the west. Again, this is block opposite. This is a board-approved house. The board approved the construction of this house, and then the lot immediately adjacent is 4244, and the lot's going towards Calumet for the 4 separate addresses. And a view looking down 4th Street, looking to the south. And that completes the visuals, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you.
Come on up, Mr. Flintoff.
Okay. If the petitioner wants to come down and explain the project to us.
Do we need to establish ownership first?
Oh,
yeah,
we need you standing.
Standing, yeah. You want to swear me in first, or do you want to do that?
Standing first, yeah. Do we need to re-swear him in for this case?
Yes.
Okay. We need to re-swear everybody in also.
All right, I'll just be Josh Maddox and myself for this one.
Okay. Mr. Maddox, if you could please unmute, we need your name and address so we can swear you in for these cases. There he is.
I'll start real quick. Tim Flintoff, 4545 Commonwealth Street, Detroit, Michigan.
All right. Josh Maddox, 265 Horton Street, Detroit, Michigan.
Just you too.
Yep.
Would you raise your right hands? Do you affirm your testimony before the board today is true?
Yes.
I do.
All right. First thing we need to do is establish standing with Attorney Savage.
Good afternoon again. Erica Savage on behalf of the Law Department. These questions are designed to assess your standing. Pursuant to Section 50-3-3 of the City of Detroit zoning ordinance, for any party to petition the Board of Zoning Appeals, they must possess sufficient standing. which means that you either possess a legal interest in the property or you're authorized by the property owner to appear on their behalf. Based on the law department search of the public records for, and I guess I'm just going to do them all in a row, 4244 4th Street, 4254 4th Street, 4260 4th Street, and 4250 4th Street. Now, I do have a question about 4250 4th Street. Was that somehow like a combined lot or something?
So
Because
we've
it's
been approved by the assessor's office for the split. The addresses are, we were hoping to have assigned by today. The address that we used was assigned by DPW for the right-of-way permits that we did, so that's the address we used at this point. But the assessor's office has approved the lot split for the development to go from 3 lots to 4 lots.
Okay, so that's why it's not coming up it's not coming up as any recorded documents on the search. So this is in anticipation of a new 4250 4th Street as pending approval by the assessor's office.
Yeah, the assessor, like I said, the assessor's office has approved it. We've requested the address be assigned, and we just haven't received the assigned address yet.
Okay.
So it has its own parcel ID number established. It just doesn't have an address yet.
Okay, so I'll make a record for other 3, and then I'll make a record for 4250. So based off of the public search for, go back, 4244 4th Street, 4254 4th Street, and 4260 4th Street, we obtained a warranty deed recorded on April 14th, 2026 at Library 60220, page 878. And that deed reflects the owner as 4254 4th Street LLC. So could you please state your relationship with 4254 4th Street LLC?
Yeah, we are hired by Bondi Construction. He is the sole owner of that LLC. He provided a letter to state that he authorizes us to speak on his behalf last week to Director Ribron, and that he is the sole member of that organization.
Okay, and again, forgive me today for not being Director Ribon, can you confirm that letter?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so you indicated that Mr. Bondi is the sole owner of the properties. Now, let me just finish the record on this one. So based off of the statements placed on the records, it's just you and Mr. Maddox who are authorized in the letter to speak on their behalf. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so no one else will be authorized. And based on those statements placed on the record, I'm satisfied with standing to proceed on those 3. Now, as it relates to 4250 4th Street, the information provided by Mr. Flintoff is that the assessor's office has approved the lot to have this address. It's approved, but it hasn't not been updated in the system. Is that correct?
Yeah, because they don't update the system to the following March after, because I think they do a bulk update.
Did you provide the paperwork with the assessor lot combination paperwork in your packet?
No, I didn't, but I can afterwards.
Okay, if you could just send me that, and my team does do the lot combination reviews, so I can try to look it up right quick myself to see. But if you could just provide it to me, and I think that, Mr. Chair, will satisfy my condition regarding that particular address. Aside from that, I'm satisfied with the standing to proceed upon the condition that we just get the confirmation from the assessor. And I'm okay with the paperwork for that.
Okay. So noted. Thank you, Attorney Savage. All right, Ms. Flintoff, what brings you to before the BZA today?
So we are here today to request variances for 4 new single-family homes in Midtown at 4th Street. These homes were originally, we did submit permits for the single-family homes. without the contextual setback because we couldn't get that for this block. But we afterwards felt that it was more appropriate to meet a more forward contextual setback. The owner also thought that the density of the neighborhood was appropriate to bring ADUs to the neighborhood, which we 4545 has been an advocate for ADUs for quite a while. We presented several.
What's the ADU?
Accessory dwelling unit, or as carriage house.
Carriage house. Gotcha.
Yep. So we believe this is a great opportunity to create more density, more homes, more residents in the neighborhood by bringing a second structure to the property. But unfortunately, the zoning ordinance treats it as its own single-family home. So that sets up a situation where we need additional variances for it, conflicting with the primary home. Had we been a block and a half over to the south, we could have had the contextual front yard setback without any issues, because those eco homes there and some of the other homes that are historically been there have from 0 property front yard lines to 5, 7, 8 feet. We think it's appropriate for the neighborhood. Josh has got a little presentation about the design and the intent of the homes.
Great, thank you. Again, I'll indicate when we should move on to the next slide. But initially, thank you to everybody for the opportunity to discuss this project this morning. As Tim mentioned, this project is 4 new single-family homes, each with a proposed accessory dwelling unit over a 2-car garage at the rear of the property. Just real quickly, that's just like having a single-family home with a garage off the alley, and these garages happen to be 2 stories and offer a additional dwelling up above. So moving forward. So this is a site map of the property. North is to the right. So you see 3rd Avenue running along the bottom of the image. The lodge is running along the top of the image. You can see our parcels are highlighted in the red square opposite of the 4th and Calumet Park. And I've also highlighted the Midtown Eco Home project to the south of us. As Tim mentioned, the lots on the block immediately south of us were originally part of that project, meant to be a phase 2. So that kind of the context that we're matching is sort of what that project has established sort of moving forward. So that kind of relates to our front setback and floor area ratio and whatnot. So if we move to the next slide real quick, just to kind of dive into that. So I was actually involved in the design of the Midtown Eco Homes with Smith Group about 10 years ago. And this development was done as a planned development. So these homes did not seek individual variances. Instead, the setbacks and the lot coverages and the lot dimensions were established as part of that planned development. And that was because the existing zoning ordinances related to those items didn't really match the existing context and sort of arrangement of the neighborhood. As Tim said, the existing buildings all have a much closer relationship to the sidewalk. Houses are much closer together. That's pretty typical of this area. If you go through Midtown, if you go across to North Corktown and Corktown proper, you have a lot of houses that are situated close together, situated close to the sidewalk. So this project was able to match that and further that through the use of a planned development. We're doing this individually for the 4 homes. So that's why we're here requesting variances. And again, because we don't have any of this character established on our block, because our block is relatively empty at the moment, we do not qualify for any contextual setbacks or anything like that. So we're here to ask variances for those. So if we move forward, we have the 4 site plans. I'll kind of talk about one of the site plans because all of the variances are similar going across. So essentially, we're asking for a front setback variance to push the building to within 8 feet of the front property line. I believe that the eco homes were established at about 10 feet, but they also have porches that run across the fronts of the buildings. For us, we've sort of recessed the porch into the building a little bit and moved the building slightly forward. And that was to create some more space between the primary home and the carriage house in the back. This is a relatively, it's not a 20-foot alley. I believe it's a 16 or 18-foot alley. So we wanted to pull even if it was just a regular garage, we want to pull that off of the alley a couple feet to give sufficient room for turning radius, and pushing the house forward a little bit maintains some good usable space for that kind of middle courtyard between the two buildings. So that explains the front yard setback. The side yard setback applies to the carriage house only. We meet the small lot zoning 10'6" minimum for the main house, but because the carriage house is subject to the same setback requirements, it is deficient on side setback. We're setting it based on the footprint of a garage, which puts us at 3 feet from the side setbacks. But again, because it's a residential building, it is subject to the same requirements as the main house, which means those setbacks are deficient. And again, the overage on the lot, or not the lot, the FAR and lot coverage is based on that 2-car footprint with the unit above it and the house adding together on these small lots puts us over that. But again, we're sort of matching the context of how these houses tend to sit on these lots in this area of the city. So moving forward, you can see this is the lot at the corner, and then the next lot in, same situation. And then going down the line to the next 2 slides, you can see the next two lots. And then for the houses themselves, the floor plans are pretty similar between the 4 houses. They're all approximately 1,800 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And the carriage house is proposed as a 1-bedroom, 1-bath above a 2-car garage. And then we have some images coming up next. That's the other variation. So you can see they're similar footprint homes. We have a couple different exterior designs. And then the next slide kind of shows the overall of the carriage houses in the back and the 4 homes on the corner there. And so that concludes the explanation of the project, and we can open it up for discussion.
Okay. Gotcha. Mr. Maddox, you use the acronym FAR. That's floor area ratio?
That's floor area ratio, and I'm looking, I know that I believe there's a floor area ratio or a max lot coverage.
This one only had
I think it's max lot coverage for this one. So yeah, we're allowed a slight increase because of small lot zoning. But again, because this has a second residential structure, we're not really privy to the small lot zoning allowances. So our lot coverage is above what that allowance would be anyway with the added garage and accessory dwelling unit.
In the small lot, we could have gone to 43%.
Okay.
I think we're at like 46.
Gotcha. Okay. If you want to go ahead and step back, we're going to hear from our departments on all 4 cases. Inspector Pierce.
All right, good morning. Inspector Connor Pierce here with BZA Zoning. Yeah, so to speak to these cases, this is located in the R2 two-family residential zoning district. This use here is permitted by right, and this went through standard plan review for a residential building permit, not needed for site plan review or for a special land use hearing. The variances requested today are standard dimensional variances, variance requests for the front and side setbacks, there additionally, this has more than one principal dwelling structure on each zoning lot, which is not permitted in the R2 zoning district. Therefore, that would require a variance as well. I do want to note that due to the fact that this is requiring variances already, and due to the fact that there are more than one structure per lot, this would not qualify for the small lot uh, standards, then development standards. And therefore, I would also recommend adding on additional variances here for deficient lot size, both lot area and lot width. Due to the way the ordinance is written, if these single family homes here are requiring variances anyways, then that has to essentially be tacked on as well. So I did want to place that on record. That seems to be a recurring theme today. I apologize. Um, Additionally, the excessive lot coverage, as was stated earlier, 35% is the standard. For smaller lots, it would be 45%. And this is showing 53% proposed for these. And then the site plan did show, I believe, a 10-foot spacing between the principal structure in the front and the secondary residential structure in the rear. And this is that follows the requirement of the zoning ordinance. If it is to go below 10 feet, then that would require an additional variance, but it looks like that is not required currently. Any questions on anything that I just stated?
No, so, I mean, it was approved with conditions though, correct?
This didn't go through SLU hearing. This is this
a
was
plan
just
review?
standard plan review. Yeah.
So it's by right?
Yeah, it is by right. Just the way the ordinance is written, it's kind of strange there. If they don't require any additional variances, then essentially the deficient lot size wouldn't need to be considered. But because they're already coming before the board for these variances, then those two should be tacked on for deficient lot width and lot area.
Okay, any questions for Inspector Pierce? Member Osborne?
Inspector Pierce, can you help me understand? You said we should add 2 more variances?
That's correct. So the standard for the ordinance is 5,000 square foot lot area with a 50-foot lot width. Now there's an exception to that in the ordinance, which I can pull up right now, to read off to you. This is, I apologize. Find it here.
Board members, I have on the screen right there where it says library comment. That's what was provided to us in terms of what the variance is. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, that's for your reference.
Yes, so this section here is all right. In section 50-13-21, it states that in the R1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 zoning districts, a single-family detached dwelling, parsonage, rectory, or parish house may be established on a lot of record established on December 22nd, 1968 or earlier, regardless of the size of the lot, provided that all of the requirements of the chapter are met. Seeing as this doesn't meet all the other requirements of the chapter that it is requiring variances already, then therefore those deficient lot width and areas would need to be applied then to for a variance, if that makes sense.
So deficient lot size?
One second, I'll state again, Mr. Pierce, that this information, even if it's plan review, needs to be included prior to us making this decision. It's a little hard to bring all these things together, but we'll go ahead and proceed. Go ahead, Mr. Osborne.
So one of the variances was deficient lot size?
Yeah, so one is deficient lot area, the other is deficient lot width. Deficient from 50 feet Lot width, 5,000 square feet lot area.
How does that interact with excessive lot coverage? Do we still need to make that variance?
You would still need to. The lot coverage permitted by this size of lot would essentially be 45% lot coverage, and they're proposing 53%.
Right. Well, I'm trying to understand how, in my mind, excessive lot coverage would mean that the lot is deficient, but we have to make a variance for a lot that's deficient and then another variance for them covering too much of the square footage.
That's correct. Yeah. So that 45 is already bumped up because of the smaller size. Normally the standard is 35%. That 45% is an increase because of the reduced lot size already, but it's still exceeding that 45% that we were able to provide.
Okay. And second question is, when it comes to 4260, why is there no front setback variance for that property? I believe that's the one on the corner, right?
That should be the one on the corner. Let me check that.
It looks like 3 out of the 4 have deficient front setback and the 4260 on the corner does not.
Right. Yeah, I apologize. I have to get back to you on that one. I missed that in the notice that it didn't include that as well. Yeah, I can get back to you on that. I apologize.
Okay. Just I'm trying to be thorough when we make motions.
Understood. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Inspector Pierce? Hey, seeing none.
I
we'll
do have one quick question.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Are there any particular requirements for the use of that one bedroom, one bath above the garage that we should be aware of?
Not in particular. So that additional residential unit within a separate structure, we're not allowed to consider, accessory dwelling units, carriage houses, because that isn't written into the ordinance. So we have to consider this to be a secondary principal dwelling structure on the same zoning lot, as it's currently written. I know there have been talks within the City Planning Commission about expanding that, but nothing has passed so far. So they're allowed to use it as a residential structure for themselves or to rent it out as long as they receive a rental certificate of compliance from this department for that as a rental unit. They wouldn't be able to be conducting business out of it essentially, it'd still be a residential use there. But I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you.
But Inspector Pierce, it could be a short-term rental though, also, right?
That's tricky. So short-term rentals are not typically permitted. They're not permitted as a home occupation, essentially. So if they were to go through and get the rental CFC for it, and treat it as they would any other apartment, rental, that's our main requirement then at that point. But you're not allowed to rent out just like a room of your house as an Airbnb, essentially, in Detroit. So that's kind of a gray area question, but yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mr. Bowman?
Yeah, first of all, I just needed to disclose this. If anyone goes looking up my residence, they might think that I live within 300 feet of this if they happen to get an old address, but it's actually been over 20 years. And so actually about 24 years. So I believe there's no problem with that at all, because it was a long time ago. But then also I was wondering, I don't know if this is the right time to ask, but if I could just hear a thumbs up from our attorney that the addition of these variances in this case won't be problematic, as it wasn't before.
I've been in communication with her via text and she's double checking right now.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
I can confirm here too. I apologize for jumping. The question earlier about for 4260 for the one on the corner. I see in the plan review comments that deficient front setback was also mentioned there too. So I think that was just a typo for the requested variances here.
Okay, so basically we're looking at the same now 6 variances for all 4 properties.
Correct.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Okay, this was plan reviewed, so I'm assuming nothing from planning and development. So then we'll move to the approval criteria. If we can have Mr. Flintoff back up, and Mr. Maddox, if you need to chime in, feel free. So
Yeah.
we're going to do the approval criteria. We have to do it for each address, unfortunately.
Okay, can I just say one thing about the variances? I think we were not aware of the additional variances either, or we would have probably flagged it because this was already permitted. We have a permit issued for the original home at the 18-foot under the small lot. So I think that's where the mix up happened was, this wasn't an alter revision to an original permit, which then sent us to the BZA. So.
Yeah. Attorney Savage is double checking to make sure that we can add both of those, but sounds like initially we'll be able to add those and get you all, provided that you're on the prevailing side, get you all taken care of today. All right, so we're going to switch to the approval criteria, and we will start with number 1 and 2, Ms. Johnson.
So we gotta do this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a comment, Member Sherman? Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so Member Johnson, if you could please start with number 1 and 2, and this is for address 4254 4th Street, 4254 4th Street. Yeah, it's going to be the same approval criteria for all 4 addresses. That's 4254 4th Street. But like I say, it'll be the same approval criteria for each one. You just have to rinse and repeat.
Okay.
So if you remember our answers from the first time.
Is the requested variance or
Okay. Under the advisement of the director, we're going to recess. 2 minutes is never going to be enough. So we'll recess till 12:10.
I'm here.
Well, I mean,
I'm here next week.
already next week.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want BC to get it to me on Thursday. That's not enough time.
I don't need to know anything more than see it's written. I mean,
But we need to have it official.
yeah.
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 So, well, you know what, board members, let's do a week. If it's not ready, we'll just adjourn it and then move it over to 2 weeks. So adjourn it for 1 week, subject to BC having the report to BZA no later than Wednesday. If they don't, then we'll push it out to 2 weeks. That's the request I'm asking, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And let me apologize, Mr. Flintoff and Mr. Bundy, for not having the complete report. We will do better. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We need
A motion.
motion.
Okay. So we need a motion to adjourn.
We want to do the approval criteria hourly.
No.
We need a motion to adjourn the 4 cases till next week, provided that BC has enough time to get that together. If not, it'll be 2 weeks out.
Sure.
And the reason being is that the BC review was not complete that included those two additional variants.
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, so we got a motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, Mr. Flintoff, but we'll see you in a week, maybe two.
Mr. Chair, if I may note something just quickly for the record. 2 weeks is, I don't think we meet, which would be the third, because that's the first Monday. So all parties, if time is of the essence, you may want to get that done by this week. Otherwise, if I'm correct, Director Ribron, it will have to be 3 weeks, because I don't believe we meet on August 3rd.
You are correct. Thank you for that catching that. So I'm gonna push DC to get that done by tomorrow. Thank you, Attorney Savage.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Flintoff, don't forget to send me the approval paperwork. I do see I did look up, I see the application for 42450. I do see that combined and that the law department approved the initial part of it, but I didn't see the assessor. So if you could just get that to me, I think we'll be set.
I sent that to Director Ribron a few minutes ago.
Oh, okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Oh, did we do the motion?
yes.
We did. Oh, okay, all right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we did the motion.
All right.
All right, so now we're gonna go move to general public comment. If you are in the auditorium today and want to make a general public comment, please come down the steps to the podium. Seeing nobody, will switch to virtual public comment. If you want to make a virtual public comment, please raise your hand. And this is general public comment. Please raise your hand. Anybody out there, Director Brown?
Yes. Joanne Warwick.
Ms. Warwick, if you could please unmute yourself, and you have 2 minutes for general public comment. Ms. Warwick.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, you have 2 minutes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. She said this is general public comment. Yeah. So, once again, very politely, I know you guys got a lot to do, but not having your agenda for the day on your own webpage is highly problematic. I mean, and then even if you go to the I went to the general calendar and I punched in Board of Zoning Appeals for today and nothing came up. So very politely, will you please make sure you're getting notices out to people? And somebody said today, well, gee, I wouldn't want to live next to a 4-story building. I don't either, but nobody on this board, although you have some different members, seemed to care when it came to North End Landing or the secretive, non-inclusive planning process that has caused a tremendous amount of tension in the neighborhood. And again, very politely, Mr. Osborne, you seem like a nice gentleman, but I'm beginning to I didn't think you and Mr. Bowman should have been on the BZA if you're on the CAC. I think those are conflicts of interest. And I see Mr. Byron Osborne going around talking about jobs for the IBEW, which, hey, that's great. But when you're not thinking about other people, sometimes there's a conflict and sometimes they're not. But and I'm glad to see you're finally starting to try and state some reasons when you're making the motion. I saw an effort today, but duly noted that didn't happen with North End Landing. So, you guys have been staffed by attorneys for a very long time. Well, since I've been paying attention, but and there is a lot there, but I'm just disappointed. And again, like calling public testimony, public comment, that's not correct.
Thanks, Ms. Warwick. Anybody else, Director Ribon?
Yes. Tyson Gersh.
Mr. Gersh, if you could please unmute yourself. You'll have 2 minutes for general public comment.
Thanks. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hey, that wasn't so hard, guys. Thanks for acknowledging the error and correcting it. I think if we took this approach to all the problems that occur, like we'd just have a smoothly running BZA, and you wouldn't have like an army of people just raging against the BZA specifically. It's not that hard to do stuff right. Like it's just what you have to do to protect the process so that it's fair for everybody. Thank you guys for doing the right thing today. I don't think that first variance or that first hearing is legitimate. I mean, it's not like I'm going to appeal it, but just do things right. Just do things right. I know it's hard, and I know like the logistics of everything. Like you guys just want to push stuff through. You don't want to delay things, but you can't do that at the cost of process. I really think you guys need to start publishing an online record, because in real time, like I can't even speak to the variances being proposed because I can't pull up the site plans or the site plan review documents myself. Like I don't even know what the FAR deficiency was on that first project. I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't listed on the agenda, which I got emailed from gov.delivery, but it's not like I could find it on the BZA website. There's just some like simple, basic stuff that could be done that would just like save so many headaches. And instead of treating us like the enemy, maybe like listen to us. It's not like we don't know what we're talking about at this point. Pretty familiar with the ordinance and the process, and we're giving you like real feedback. Thank you for listening to some of it today.
Thank you, Mr. Gersh. Anybody else, Director?
The last hand is Scott Lowell.
Mr. Lowe, Scott Lowe.
Good morning, or good afternoon, rather. Thank you. I have multiple properties within that area there, and I also grew up in the city in an area with similar density of what this used to be, and I believe that this proposal fits within the ethos of that sort of density. It fits within what we feel and what, frankly, great deal of our residents feel is part of the urban experience that they've come to embrace. So I would urge that you would approve all of these, and furthermore, in deference to the very real concern about delivering and having affordable housing, I'd further urge, if it's within your purview, that you consider refunding all the fees associated with this applicant's proposal here. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
Approve it and give him his money back.
That's the last one, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Sounds good. Any new business, Director?
Yeah, once again, the following board members, your term ends on December 31st, 2026. If you want to be reappointed, please contact your council member. I'm also going to contact them. Again, Anthony Sherman, District 7, Byron Osborne, District 5, Jerry Watson, District 4, Scott Bowman at large, and Sharon Parker at large. Each of your terms expire December 31st, 2026. Please contact your council person if you are interested in staying on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any advisements?
No advisements.
Any old business?
No old business.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second? Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Bowman, did you have a question?
I just had a brief statement that
Okay.
there is no, first of all, I am not on the Community Advisory Council. Second of all, there is no conflict in my service on this board, and additionally any other. It's been well vetted by the legal department, the legislative policy division, and by the Board of Ethics. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.